What up, y'all? Rhev here again, bringing you another build that I pieced together. Still has a little bit of work to be done to make it maximized, but for right now it does pretty impressive numbers and sustained numbers at that. This is my knife blade, of course. It is a solid stem build using a bow for primary single target and a two-hander for utility, AoE, and execute abilities on the secondary bar. The reason why I'm going with bow is I like the flexibility it gives you, so you don't have to be right up on the target the entire time. You have that playroom just like a caster has with DPS. Now, as you can see here, looking at the character screen, and nothing in Magicka. 41 points into health and 21 into stam. 21 into stam was to help overcharge stam. 41 in health is to help boost up my health full. Right now it's pretty low. I still have a little more tweaking to do to try to get it up higher. Preferably 2700 or higher. 2800 is better for especially endgame trials like Sanctum. Magic recovery is decent only because I'm a high elf Nulmer. Is it the best class for, or best race for this class, stam build? By far no. I would run either a Khajiit or I would run I'd say a Red Guard. Just for the stamina, increased stamina recovery and passive stamina recovery on hit would be probably the best. But yeah, Khajiit would be pretty nice too, because weapon crit is very important. The higher you have this, the more DPS, insane amount of DPS you're going to have with this bow build. As you can see, my weapon crit's only at 58%, and I'm running the Shadow for increased critical strike damage. And my weapon damage is only 217 out of 2 or 3, so it's just barely 15 over on weapon damage overcharge. The reason it is like this right now is because we are missing 5% increased weapon damage from our skull PvP buffs. I'm also missing the 8% crit from that, so with those buffs I'm sitting on weapon crit at 66%, which is decent. I'd much rather have it over 70, but I have some more tweaking to do with this build to get it there. Let's see, and of course your armor and spell resistance isn't overcharged. Neither one's overcharged, so you got to be real careful when doing a full medium armor character. The resistances are less. Going on to skills. Assassination. I picked all the passes for all 3 class skills. I have Impale only for an increased crit, having it on my bar, and then same thing with Piercing Mark and Incapacitate. Incapacitate because it increases weapon heavy attack damage by, when it's leveled, fully 13%. Piercing Mark I prefer over Reapers because it has a reduced Magicka cost to cast it. Just better for sustaining. And I have that on my primary bar. And then, like I said before, I have all the passives. Shadow, I have Shades to run on my utility bar to help the tank out. I run Veil on my utility AoE bar. That's my main ultimate that I use. Passives as always. Siphoning, I have Power Extraction. I use that on my AoE utility bar. It's very impressive with Carve. Siphoning attacks, I was playing with it. Don't really use it. Don't really need it. Crippling Grasp, I was using that instead of having Impel on that bar. Then I realized it kind of pointless to use it, so I stopped using it and put Impel just for the crit. I don't even use Impel for execute at all. It's not worth it right now, since spell power is pretty low and Magicka is pretty low. Weapons, of course, two-hander. And switch to second bar AoE utility bar. As you can see here, I have Carve for the ultimate gain, and it does a really good bleed and AoE damage. And then I have Executioner, increases weapon damage with the other two-hander abilities. I run that for my main execute bar for trial bosses. As you can see, Power Extraction here, so I keep Power Extraction up, and then Carve like crazy. That's pretty much your ultimate, or AoE, it's pretty easy. Dark Shades for utility, as I said before. Evil Hunter for another utility in case stuff gets damaged by the proc off of it. Okay, and of course you want your passives. Executioner is your main executor, and you usually start around 30% health on the boss. 25% health is where you're going to see the full benefit, but 30% you can start utilizing it then as well, and you're still going to see some really good numbers. Alright, armor, took all the medium armor passives, very important since you are full 7-piece medium armor there, and crit and everything else is very important, stamina regeneration, very important. Okay, I take soul summons as always for free res. Guild, Fighters Guild, I have Flawless Dawnbreaker, one more level and it'll be max potential, right now it's 12%, but weapon attack steal, 13% increased damage when it's slotted. You run that on your primary single target bar. Evil Hunter, like I said before, it's on my AoE/utility bar. I have the passives, very important. Nothing from the Mage Guild, no longer a caster. Need a level Undaunted Metal, very important. It'll be very nice to have later on. Racial skills, as you can see, it's high health, so it's all magic based. It does help with keeping your 2 buffs up, like Incapacitate, Piercing Mark, using Power Extraction or Dark Shades, but it doesn't really help all that much, and most of the damage you do is not really Cold Fire Shock, it's poison. Okay, going on to gear. Gear, I run a 5-piece Huntings, as you can see right here. All of it purple with all stam buffs trait. And then my weapons, very important that you have your weapons max rank and you have them upgraded to gold, legendary, just for the damage that can push out. More damage the better. You can see both have it. And I run a 3-piece Ophidian set right here for the weapon crit and stam. And I run a 3-piece Ophidian energy and spirit right here for the weapon crit, and then also the light and heavy attacks against poison enemy. You have a 20% chance to cause everyone poison damage, so it adds a little bit more poison damage as I hit. And you can see it's all enchanted for weapon damage. All my gear is enchanted for stamina. Okay, and as you have seen already, my primary attack bar is, or single target bar with bow is focused aim, poison injection, impale I don't use, I just keep it on the bar for the crit. Incapacitate, keep that up at all times. Reaper's Mark, keep that up at all times, or Piercing Mark. And then Flawless Dawnbreaker for the passive benefit. Secondary bar, AoE bar is Carve with Power Extraction, keep Power Extraction buff up. Carve like crazy. And Shades is for utility. Executioner for execute phase. Evil Hunter for utility, and Veil of Blades. You can always swap Evil Hunter and Dark Shades out with whatever you think you need at that time. Single target rotation, you're weaving in a semi-charged heavy attack with your poison injection, and then you're weaving a fully charged heavy attack with your snipe, focused aim. Trick is, this is a world boss right here, so let's see how I can run DPS. Keep your piercing mark up, incapacitate, keep relatively max distance, weave your heavy attack with your snipe, keep lightly charged heavy attack with your poison injection, and just keep your poison injection up and keep spamming snipe with the heavy attack. As you can see here, I kind of screwed up a little bit, but I still managed to get 1k DPS on a world boss without using the weapon crit pot. I can get it higher than that. As you can see here, like I said before, I'm missing 8% crit and weapon damage. So it's not going too good for that. And my focused aim, if you look, only crit 14% of the time, which is why DPS was only 1k. So yeah, that's the biggest thing is your crit. Higher the crit, preferably over 70%. If you can get over 70% crit, you're really going to see some numbers with this build. Okay, this time I'll use a weapon crit pot. So I put up my piercing mark, put Infestate up, crouch for the sneak damage to the start, pot, snipe with the heavy attack, An injection with the semi-charged heavy attack, and then just rinse and repeat. Snipe, heavy attack, snipe, heavy attack. Keep your poison injection up, and there you go. Went down fairly easily. And let's see, here's something cheap to throw away. That's good. Alright, as you can see here, with using the weapon crit pot on a world boss, giant world boss, what's his name, Long Stride. I did 1496 DPS, so about just a hair under 1500 DPS. And so you see here, when you're actually critting, focused aim is a beautiful thing. 80% crit with focused aim, around 846 DPS just with that alone. I've seen that all the way up to 996 DPS with focused aim at 100% crit, so it's it's pretty impressive. Heavy attack, I've seen that higher than 370. I've seen it all the way up to 500 with 100% crit. Poison injection, same thing. It's insane for damage, especially once the target is 50% on the health and lower. 100% crit, 250 DPS just from keeping that dot up. That's beautiful. And then poisoned weapon, poisonous serpent, I believe that's jewelry, and poisoned is just the general poison damage. Just a little excess, a little additive DPS, not really contributing. As you can see, it's only about 30 extra DPS. But this build can be very, very nice. The trick to it, like I said before, get your weapon crit up as high as you can. 70% or higher, even better. I'm probably going to toy around with these gear sets to push my weapon crit up as high as possible and have that as my main focus. So we'll see how things go with that. It's all about weapon crit. If you're not critting with your focused aim, you're going to see around 1k DPS if you're not really hitting your crits. If you're critting on a regular basis, just about every attack, you're going to see higher numbers, such as 1400 to 1700 DPS. That's about 1500 DPS on the world boss, so that's something that is better to judge the DPS off of rather than these just roaming mammoths and giants. They have a lower health, but I'll see if I can do even better DPS real quick with one of these smaller guys. Most I've seen right now is 1780 DPS on a single target for this build, so man, I came out of sneak. Why did I hit control? And I wasn't critting at all. 0% crit focused aim, 50% crit with heavy attack, and still doing 1k DPS, so I mean, when you're not critting, you're still doing really impressive DPS. DPS that other classes with crits do, or specs do, so it's very, very nice build. It's definitely worth giving it a shot. And you can always modify it as you see fit, really, to try and maximize the DPS. So just play around with it and try it out, and tell me what you think about it. You see 1600 DPS on that one. 100% focused aim, 1k DPS by itself right there. With 100% crit, that is beautiful. Poison injection, 100% crit, almost 300 DPS. Heavy attack, 100% crit. I didn't get much time, as you can see. 4 seconds, so I only got one heavy attack in there, 270, and that also means that I missed a semi-charged heavy attack Rhev, which sucks. So, like I said before, I hope you enjoyed this video and this build. You can always move some stuff around. I'm probably going to move some stuff around to maximize your DPS for whatever you see fit. If you are a red guard or a class that gives you stamina recovery, you can take killer or impale out and put in what I see